Hi everyone, welcome. FPLMattDay here, and I'm back with some fancy football content. It's Euro Fantasy. We are less than 3 weeks away from Euro 2024, and this is going to be my how to play Euro 2024 fantasy video. So if you're playing this year, this is the video for you. If you're new here, remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and get any comments and questions about the game, how to play, any thoughts on your team. But remember, there's plenty more content to come from now until deadline day. First game is Germany, the hosts, against Scotland. So just for a bit of background, I've been playing UEFA games for a long time. My first tournament was Euro 2008. I also currently play UEFA Champions League Fantasy, which is basically the same format as this game. And I'm doing pretty well in that this year. So this is the video, like I mentioned before, for you. And I'm going to show you now and explain how to play this game from, picking your squad all the way down to the thing that really matters. And that is, how are you going to score points in this game? So I will share screen. I've also got a mini league as well. So if you want to join that, go check out my Instagram at FPLMattDay, my Twitter at FPLMattDay, and you will see the league code in there. I will share it in the banner in my future videos as well. But I'll share screen now, and we're going to bring up the Euro Fantasy website. So head over there, UEFA Games, if you haven't done already, and go and pick your team. So let's start with the match days. So let's zoom in a little bit more here. So you can see, and it does work in match days. So in FPL, you've got game week, which is week to week, or if there's a midweek game week, where there's a double game week, it could be game week 36 in the weekend and game week 37 in the middle of the week. So how this works is there's 7 match days, 3 rounds of games in the group stage. So you've got the first group stage set of games, the second set of group stage games, the third, then you get a round of 16, quarterfinal, semi, and final. So every match day is split over a number of days, similar to Champions League, where it's split over a couple of days, except the final, which is obviously its own game. And how it works is you'll have your first game, Germany versus Scotland. You've got all the way up until deadline on kickoff to make your changes to the team. So it's not like FPL where there's a 1.5 hour deadline. You can wait all the way till kickoff so you can see the team news and make those amendments to your squad. And I'm going to go through this a little bit more in detail further on the video about managing and picking your squad and that type of thing. But if you pick a player from Germany v Scotland in the first game and they don't do very well, then the second day of that match day will be a set of new fixtures. You can substitute that Germany player off and bring someone else on. But usually on that first day, there might be 2, 3, 4 games. So that's effectively a day of games. And it's kind of the day where all those players in your team are still active. And it's not until the next day you can then make that change. So once it says here, each match day, once the first day's games have finished, you can then make the subs or switch your captain. So it means that any of your starting players that don't score as many points as you would have liked, you can sub them off for a player on your bench who has yet to play. So the player on your bench mustn't have played already on the first match day in order for you to bring them in. So that's the match days. That's how they work. Let's go to picking your squad. And this is pretty simple. Pick your team name as per usual. Select your players. Again, pretty straightforward. 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, 3 forwards. But try and have the strongest bench possible that are all going to play. Potentially the bench should be players that are playing later on in the group stages so you can bring them on if the players in your starting 11 that may have already played don't. But again, everyone's got different strategies. You probably just also want to focus on the teams with the best fixtures like you do in most of these games. Anyway, budget 100 million euros. It is a European tournament. Rise to 105 million euros in the round of 16. And the number of players from team. This is where it gets quite interesting in UEFA games because it does expand as the tournament goes on. Group stage, 3 players. Round of 16, you get 1 extra player from that nation, 5 in the quarters, 6 in the semis, and 8 in the final. We'll obviously talk about strategies and ways to play as the tournament goes on. You can create a team at any point in the tournament, but I suggest getting it in all the way until deadline. So let's go how to manage your squad. So as you can see here, each match day, you'll select 11 players from a 15-player squad. Doesn't mean you can change it each day. It just means you need to... So how that means is... So each match day, like say the match day, so the first set of group games, they're all done. Then you get your new match day, which is the second set of group games. That's where you'll then need to start looking at selecting the lineup and the squad you want to put out for your team. But you want to be doing this daily as well in Euro Fantasy because you've got your bench, and if your bench haven't played, you can make those rolling changes each day as well, and rolling captains. But I'm going to talk about that in a second. So your match day points will be players only scored by those in your 11. So they've got to be in your starting team. For every match day except the final, we'll be able to sub players in and out depending on their performances, with the aim of ending the match day with the highest scoring 11 players from your squad in your 11. You can only sub in players who haven't played in that match day. So I'll give you an example again, similar to what I explained earlier. Just say you're on the first match day, the first set of group games, but it's the third day into the tournament. You've got Ronaldo as one of your strikers. He doesn't score for Portugal, and you have another striker on your bench that hasn't yet played. You can bring him in. So you want to try and pick those players that play early in your lineup first, and those players that play later in the match day, you want to put them on your bench so you can bring them on as substitutes in case those players in the lineup don't do anything. Bear in mind, and this will be mentioned a bit later on, if those players get sent off, you can't sub them out. So there is a few workarounds to that rule, which can get quite tricky in UEFA games. Formations, and with subs as well. If any of your starting players don't play that match day, they will be replaced by your subs. But again, the subs have to have not played. They could have played when it's a sub, but as long as the formation rules aren't broken. Your team can line up in any formation as long as you picked a goalie, 3 defenders, 2 mids, and at least 1 forward. Selecting a captain. So this is interesting. Your players' points double for that match day, just like in FPL, but it is a rolling captain. So day 1, there's 3 fixtures as an example. You pick your captain within those 3 fixtures. The second day, still the same match day, but it's a new set of games. You can change your captain that day. It's a rolling captain. It's really, really good. It's the same thing in UEFA Champions League Fantasy. On night 1, you pick your favourite captain. If he doesn't do well, you pick someone else on night 2. So it's almost a second shot. If your captain doesn't play on a match day and you haven't made any manual changes during that match day, your captain will automatically be subbed out. However, his replacement won't get the captain's double points bonus. So if your captain doesn't play in a match day where you've made other subs, your captain won't be subbed out and none of your players will score for that match day. So be very, very careful with that. It's not like in FPL where you get yourself a nice little backup. So that's another little tip there because you're getting that kind of good thing here because you can roll your captain and change it, but you're not getting that security if he doesn't play in a match day. Select a captain from a team that's playing on the first match day. So this is what I said before. That way, if he doesn't score any points that you would have liked, you can switch your captain to one of your players who's playing on that match day. Remember, if they get sent off, you can't change the captain. So that's something to be cautious of. Subs, I've spoken about this before. 4 players as a max as your sub. Unless they've been sent off, there you go. It says it there. Replace them with any of your subs who are yet to play with the match day. And any players you'll sub out will score 0 points for that match day. So once you sub them off, you can't sub them back in. Change your captain to another player from your squad whose team are yet to play. I keep emphasizing this. You can only do this from teams and players that have yet to play. Your original captain's points, they do get lost. The double points do. You still get the single points as long as he's in your lineup, and your new captain's score for that match day will be doubled. And here's some bear in mind. You can't sub a player in your start 11 or change to a captain who's already played in that match day. Once you confirm your subs or change the captain, these changes can't be reversed. Once the games in the final day of the match day are kicked off, you can't make any changes to your team. Any changes will only be applied to the next match day. And once you manually make a sub in a match day, automatic subs will be disabled for that match day. So it's saying here, because you can make subs mid-match day, try picking a squad with a balance of players in action over the various days within the match day 2 days. That, if your initial players don't perform, you can sub them out. So yeah, like I said, if you have players in the first 2 or 3 days of the tournament on the first group set of games, which is the first match day, and they struggle and you've got good bench players to come on, you bring them in and you get more shots at points. Speaks about automatic subs as well. Pretty self-explanatory. If you don't make any subs, it will change your captain with the match day. Some of your players can then be automatically subbed out. That's usually for those managers who probably aren't really keeping as an active eye on their team. Transfers, always an interesting one. So you can transfer players in and out. So obviously at the start, you get all your free transfers, just like in FPL. Before the tournament starts. During the group stage, you get 2 per match day. So once the first set of group games are done, if you want to make subs to go into the second set of group games, which is second match day, you get 2 subs. And then from the second set of group games, once they're all done, you get 2 again. Then before the round of 16, it goes completely unlimited again. And I will suggest transfers, points, you want to try and accumulate as much as you can in the group stages. Before the quarterfinals, you get 3. Before the semi-finals, you get 4. And before the final, you get 5. So you want to try and hopefully have a balance where you've already got maybe 5 or 6 players in your lineup that are in the final from whoever makes the final. So then you can use 5 to make sure you've got a full 11, because it's really handy at that stage for Green Arrows to have a full 11 for the final. It does say here you can't stockpile transfers, but you can carry 1 forward to the next match day. You can't carry any transfers forward when the knockout stages start. So keep that in mind, because that's really big, especially when it comes to things like the final or the semis where you don't have many players. If you use your wildcard or limitless chips, then your free transfers don't get carried forward. So that's just like FPL. Player prices stay the same throughout sort of the first set of group games. But once match day deadline 2 and match day deadline 3 and the knockouts come in, players get adjusted based on their performance, just like in FPL. We'll quickly run through deadlines now. So you got your deadlines. Match day 1, it's literally all the way up until kickoff, same as match day 2. These, it says here, initial official lineups are announced for the first set of matches. That way you get at least to know some of the players who will definitely start for their teams and get you points. So you get a good idea to know before each match day, you'll know who's starting in those games. So it is handy like that. It's the same as Uefa Champions League Fantasy. You don't have those worries like you get in FPL. We'll go to chips. This is huge, really crucial. We have this strategy in UEFA games, UEFA Champions League Fantasy all the time. And I'll do a separate video on chip strategy. But you get 1 wildcard available, just like the FPL wildcard. Have to still pick it within the budget. You get a limitless chip, completely different chip. It's almost a free hit, but there's no budget. It's a really good chip, the strongest chip in any fantasy game, I believe. It's unbelievable. So basically, both of them, wildcard and limitless, are unlimited transfers. But with a wildcard, your team doesn't reset once you play it. With a limitless, your team then resets. But we'll go more onto a chip strategy in a separate video. So if you're interested in that and you've got this far in the video, let me know. And those chips can only be used once. Scoring points. Now, this is one of the most interesting ones because there's a lot in this that FPL can take. So I'm going to go through the ones that are different as opposed to the ones that we already know. We know things like appearance points. We know all that sort of stuff. They are slightly adjusted, but I'll give you some more interesting ones in this that you need to take note of. So goals from outside the box, massive one. You get 1 extra point. So pick those players that aren't scared to shoot. Every 3 balls recovered gives you 1 point. So those defenders that are good at winning duels and recovering those balls, those defensive midfielders, they're more vital in this game. So find those budget enabler defensive midfielders. Man of the match gets 3 points. It's not like in FPL where you get 3, 2, and 1. There is only 3 points. Winning a penalty, you get 2 points for winning a penalty. In FPL, if a player wins a penalty and takes a penalty, you only get the goal points. So that's a really, really good one. If you concede a penalty, you get a -1. Also, going back to the winning a penalty one, if you're a player that wins a penalty and then scores, you get the winning a penalty points and the goal scoring points. But yeah, conceding a penalty -1, missing a penalty -2, yellow card -1, red card -3. That's very similar. Own goal -2, scoring a goal 6 points, saving a penalty 5 points. Every 3 saves 1 point. That is sorry, going on to those bits there. It does have slightly different variation. Sorry, so that 6 points was for a goalkeeper to score points. Defenders get 6 points for scoring a goal. Midfielders 5, and forwards get 4. So that's all very similar to FPL. You get your clean sheet point as well for midfielders. And sorry, I'll go back to just goalkeepers, because I didn't touch on that too much. Every 3 saves is a point as well, like FPL. So some really, really handy point scoring in there that you don't get in FPL, which you get in UEFA Champions League Fantasy. It's the same. If you play UEFA Champions League Fantasy, you're basically playing the same game. And points are calculated within 3 hours of the final whistle. Let's go down. Extra time and penalties. This is an interesting one, actually. Players will keep scoring points throughout extra time. However, players who play 120 minutes don't get double points for appearance or clean sheet. So, example, your player plays 90 minutes. It's 0-0. You think you've got a clean sheet in the bank, but if they concede in extra time, no clean sheet. It's unfortunate. I've been burnt there before in UEFA Fantasy. It's a tough one to take. I guess the flip side is they get more time on the pitch to make saves, or more time on the pitch for players to score goals. And no points are scored during penalty shootouts. We'll go to leagues. I've got my league, FPLMattDay League. Like I said, check my Instagram out, my Twitter. You'll find the code on there, but I will start putting it onto all my streams so you can see public leagues, private leagues, all of that sort of stuff. But what we'll do now is stop sharing screen. I've spoken a million miles an hour. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. I hope it helps you on how to play it. I hope the examples I gave will help your team. Please subscribe if you're new here. Give the video a like. Get your comments, questions, thoughts in. Let me know what other content you want to see as well for Euro Fantasy. I will make whatever videos are suggested as well. I'll be providing things like my tournament tree, who I think is going to win the Euros. I'm going to do a limitless wildcard chip strategy video, a team selection draft video of my team selection as well. So stay tuned for all of that. And there'll also be shorts every day with my favorite picks to look out for. So we will leave it there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck for Euro Fantasy, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now. I'm FPLMattDay.